Hello students, how are you all? I hope all of you are doing well. So what we were discussing previously, we have started a very interesting chapter of the physics that is about the human eye and the colorful world. And we have discussed in our previous lecture about the structure of eye and the working of eye. So the previous lecture was all about the parts of the eye. Now we are going with the flow. So in the same flow, today we are going to deal with the defects in the eye and their correction. So our today's topic is all about defects of eye is about defects in vision and its correction. So the defect in the eye is basically arises because in the old age or due to some conditions, the power of the accommodation of the eye will become low. So with the aging or with some of the incidents that will happen in the life, your eyesight will become a very low. So it is always said that our parents always tell us that don't look at the mobile phone very closely, don't look the mobile phones at night because these lights get affect your eye also. And if you are looking at the television, it is also told by the parents that just sit far away from that TV. So why this is happening? So because these light rays or seeing these electronic objects, you can see that these lights are directly affecting our eye lenses. So due to this, our eye lenses will become having a different curvatures. So actually when these defects arises, there is not fault of any lens, actually it is a fault of eyeball. Our eyeball will become a long or small, that's why these defects are basically arising. So what actually these defects are? In the first case, you can see that a person is not able to see the far objects, so it will be myopia. Second one is a person is not able to see the nearby objects, then it is hypermetropia. And when both the combination arises together, we can call it as a presbyopia. So actually the defect of vision is happening just because the power of the accommodation of the eye will become very low. And sometimes it is due to the weakening of the ciliary muscles in the eye. I have told you earlier that what actually are the ciliary muscles. Ciliary muscles are holding the eye lenses, and whenever a light falls on the cornea, it is going to modify the light rays according to the dark and light you can see. So defects in the vision and their correction is our today's topic, and it is a very interesting topic. Definitely a question is going to ask from this topic also, whether it may be the theory question and sometimes the numerical can also be asked in your exam. Now the defects of vision are actually classified into three categories. We have three categories for this defect of vision. Now the first category is myopia, second is hypermetropia, and third one is presbyopia. So the three categories we have are myopia, second is hypermetropia, and the third one is presbyopia. So these are actually the three categories of defects in the human eye we have. Now, this myopia is also known as short-sightedness, or we can say it as a near-sightedness. So these are two names of this myopia. This hypermetropia is known as long-sightedness, or we can say it as a far-sightedness. So these are the two other names for myopia and hypermetropia. So the first defect is myopia, second one is hypermetropia, and third one is presbyopia. Okay, so these are the three categories of the defects we have common, that the defect in the eye is basically arising due to the change in the curvature of the lens or shortening and elongation of the eyeballs. Now, these three defects today we are going to study in detail, and what are the corrective measures we will take to correct these defects. Now let's study. So, starting with the first category. First category is myopia. Myopia is short-sightedness. It means a person is able to see the nearby object, but it becomes very difficult for him or her to see the distant object. Okay. So, myopia is short-sightedness. It means a person is able to see the nearby object very clearly. So, starting with the first topic, the first defect we have is myopia or near-sightedness. Now, myopia or near-sightedness. So, the first point, that is very simple. A person when able to see the nearby object very clearly but not able to see the distant object, it will be known as the myopia. So, firstly, in this case, a person is able to see nearby object clearly but not able to see distant objects. So, it usually occurs in some ages that a person is able to see the nearby objects very clearly, but we cannot see the far objects clearly. Now, you know that the near point of eye is 25 centimeter. When you want to read any book, you have to hold that book up to a distance of 25 centimeter. But the far point of any eye will be infinity. Okay. So, these are the near and far point for the eye. Now, this myopic person has this defect, and why this defect is happening in his eye? So, this defect is actually arising because the curvature of the lens has become changed, or you can say that the eyeball is elongated. If the eyeball is elongated, the person will have a defect that is known as myopia, and he has said to be a myopic eye. So, myopia is basically arising just because the radius of the curvature of the lens is changing or the eyeball is elongated. So, what are the causes for this myopia? So, actually there are two causes. First one is change in curvature of lens. It means lens is having a changing curvatures and eyeball is elongated. If our eyeball is elongated, you can see that a person will having a myopia. Now, you know that whenever a ray of light is incident on your eye, the image is going to be formed on retina. Where the image is formed? On retina. But in case of the myopic eye, you can see that the image is not forming on the retina, it is actually forming before retina. So, if it is forming before retina, then how will be the person able to see the distant object very clearly? It won't be possible. So, it is not possible. So, this defect can be corrected by using a suitable lens, and that suitable lens will be our concave lens, because we want to diverge the light rays. So, we are going to use the diverging lens, and that diverging lens will be our concave lens. Now, see the diagrammatic representation, so it might be clear to you that how this defect can be corrected. So, firstly, we are discussing about the myopia. So, here I am drawing the three diagrams here. This will be my lens. This is the eye we have drawn. This is the diagram for eye and I have drawn the two diagrams. I will tell you now why I am drawing two diagrams here. Firstly, let's see that whenever there is a myopic eye, the far point of the myopic eye will be situated here. This is the far point for the myopic eye. How will be the light rays when entering through this lens is going to form an image. So, firstly, you can see that this light ray is going to pass through this lens. This is going to pass through this lens. And this is the light ray going pass through this lens. Now, whenever a light ray is going to pass through the convex lens, it will converge and form the image here. So, it is going to converge at this single point and this is the far point we have. And this is the convex lens that is situated in our eye. So, this is the first scene and this is the first diagram which is representing the far point for myopic eye. This is a far point of myopic eye. Now, let us see the second case. In this second case, the image has to be formed on retina, but actually it is not happening so. The image is forming just before the retina. That's why the person is not able to see the far objects. He is able to see only the near objects and the far objects will be blurred for him. So, what will happen in this case? Suppose this is the far point for the myopic eye and this is O dash where the object is to be placed. Now, how will be the light rays coming from this object? The light rays will come like this. Now, after passing through this lens, these light rays is going to converge at this point. So, these light rays are going to converge at this point. So, you can see that this is our retina and if the light rays are going to converge here, it means the person is able to see the image at this point. So, instead of getting the image at retina, he will getting an image just before the retina. So, if he is getting the image before retina, then it will become very difficult for him to see the distant objects very clearly. So, what you have to do? You have to form an image at this point. That we want an image on retina, that's why the person is able to see clearly. So, you can see that this is a convex lens and rays are going to converge here. And what we have to do? We have to put a lens in such a way that instead of converging here, the light rays is going to converge here. Light rays must converge through this point to this point. It means we have to use the diverging lens first so that it will cause the convergence little after. So, instead of getting the light rays converging at this point, we will get the light rays converging at this point. So, this defect is usually corrected by uses of lens that is known as the concave lens. So, this second case that I have drawn here is actually our myopic eye. This is our myopic eye. So, myopic eye is seeing an image just before the retina. Now, how this defect can be corrected? Let's see the correction of this defect. So, the third thing is about correction by using concave lens. Now, what we will do? We will draw the eye diagram again. This is our eye. This is our cornea part and this is our eye lens. Now, this is a straight line I am drawing here. Firstly, what you should do? You should place a concave lens before this eye. So, what I am doing here? I am just drawing the concave lens here. Now, if this is my point F and this is my point O dash, now the light rays are coming in this way. If light rays are coming from this object that is placed beyond the far point, you can see that the light rays will diverge. Firstly, the light rays will diverge. Why it is diverging? These are diverging because we are using a diverging lens. So what will happen when the rays of light are coming in this way? You can see that these light rays will diverge at this point. These light rays will diverge at this point and then it pass through the lens and they are going to form an image here. So this is how this lens is working. Now, let's understand once again this part here. This is our myopic eye. And what will happen in the case of the myopic eye? You are getting the image just before the retina. And where you want the image? You want to get an image exactly at retina. So what you have to do? This is a converging lens. And what is the function of converging lens? It is going to converge the light rays. But we want this convergence little later. We do not want the convergence just before retina. We want the convergence just little later. So what I have used? I have just used the diverging lens here. This is diverging lens. And this diverging lens, instead of converging, it is going to divert the light rays. And if these light rays are diverging at this point, this is our convex lens. And convex lens is again a converging lens. And it is going to converge the light rays at a fixed point. And this point is known as retina. That's why we are going to obtain the image on the retina. So this is how the myopic eye or the short-sightedness can be corrected, and these can be suitably corrected by using a concave lens. Now let's move to the second defect, that is about hypermetropia. So the second defect is about hypermetropia, or it is known as long-sightedness. Now, what is hypermetropia or long-sightedness? Long-sightedness means a person is able to see the distant object very clearly, but he is not able to see the near point. Near point is not visible to the hypermetropic eye, but he is able to see the far point. That is why it is known as the far-sightedness. So, what is hypermetropia? In this hypermetropia, a person is able to see distant objects, but he is not able to see nearby objects. The nearby objects will not be visible to the hypermetropic eye. Now, hypermetropia is actually just opposite to that of the myopia. If you understand myopia, then it will become very easy, because you have to just opposite that case, that is in the case of the hypermetropia. Now, what is the main causes of that hypermetropia? So, the main cause for these defect is only our eyeball. So, eyeball in this case will become small. If your eyeball will become small, it will not going to form an image exactly on the retina, and this defect is known as the hypermetropia. And the second case is that the focal length of the lens will going to be increased. If the focal length is increased, then this problem also may cause the hypermetropic eye. So, what are the two causes that is responsible for hypermetropic eye? The two causes are, the first one is focal length of the lens increases, or we can say that the curvature of the lens changes. So, the focal length of the lens increases. And secondly, the size of eyeball decreases. Size of eyeball decreases. So the size of the eyeball decreases or the focal length of the lens increases, you will get a defect known as long-sightedness or hypermetropia or far-sightedness. And what will simply happen in this case? The person is able to see the distant object very clearly, but he is not able to see the nearby objects. So if that person has to read the newspaper, what he has to do? He has to keep the newspaper 25 centimeter distance because he is not able to see the nearby objects clearly. Now, let us see the diagrammatic representation so that it might be clear to you that how will be the hypermetropic eye formed. So, firstly we are taking the three lenses here. Now, this is our cornea part, this is our cornea part, this is our cornea part. Now, what I am doing? I am just drawing the lens here. This is our lens, this is our lens, and this is our lens. Now, let us draw a straight line here in all the three cases. Now, the first case is the near point for the hypermetropic eye. So, if I am going to draw the image where the image is formed for the near point of the hypermetropic eye, I can say that the near point is here. This is my near point. Now what will happen? The light rays will going to suppose the near point is here. This is the near point for the hypermetropic eye. So the light rays will go and converge at this point, simply go here and so this is the retina and this is the near point for the hypermetropic eye. So what is the first diagram representing? It is actually representing the near point. Now, in the second case, you have to draw the hypermetropic eye. Now, what will happen in this case? You want to obtain the image on retina. But for that hypermetropic eye, the image is going to form beyond retina. So, if the image is forming beyond retina, then how will be the person able to see the object which is nearby him? He is not able to see that object and it will appear blurred to him. So, what will happen in this case? This is my near point and suppose the object is placed here. And what will happen in this case? The light rays will go from this point and after passing through this lens, they are going to form the image which is beyond retina, somewhat here. So, the light rays from this object is going to form the image beyond retina. So, this is our retina and the image you can see that it is forming here. This is our retina and this is near point and this is object and you can see that the image is forming beyond the retina. If the image is forming beyond the retina, then how will be the person able to see the image of the object? So, you must need a lens that will correct this defect. So, this is the convex lens. And what is the function of convex lens? Convex lens is used to converge the light rays. So, if this lens is converging the light rays here, what I want? I want the convergence just before the retina. So, if you want the convergence again, then what will you use? You will use converging lens. And what are the converging lens? Convex lens are our converging lens. So, this defect is actually corrected by using the convex lens of suitable focal length. So, if I want my convergence here instead of here, so I will use one more converging lens here and we can say that this defect is actually corrected by using the converging lens. Now, what will happen here? Let's see. This is O dash and this is N. Now, what I am doing? I am just using the converging lens here. This is my converging lens and this is the converging lens of the eye. So, This defect is corrected by using the converging lens, and converging lens will be our convex lens. Now what will happen? The light rays coming from the object will pass through this converging lens, and they are going to form the image exactly on retina. Because we are using the converging lens, so the light rays are try to converge here at a point. They are not going to diverge. But the case we have seen before, we have used the concave lens, and concave lens are actually the diverging lens, so they are diverging the light rays. And here what happened, the rays are going to converge at the retina. So this is how this lens is going to work, and this is our retina, and you will get the image exactly at retina. Because at the retina we will get the image and we are able to see the image of the object. So you can see that second case is our hypermetropic eye. This is our hypermetropic eye, and you can see that for that hypermetropic eye, the image is forming here. It means the image is formed beyond retina. Image is forming beyond retina. And where do you want the image? You want the image exactly at the retina, so you are using the convex lens here, so it will converge the light rays just before the retina. So this is retina and you are getting the image here. So this is the correction by using convex lens. This is the correction by using convex lens. Okay. So hypermetropic eye is corrected by using the convex lens. And what are the two main reasons for this defect? That our eyeball will become too low. Eyeball become small, that it will not be able to form the image on retina. And secondly, the focal length of the lens is increased. So these are the two reasons for the defect that is known as hypermetropia. Now, let us move to the third defect of the eye, that is about the presbyopia. But before that, just copy this part from here. Now, the third defect we have is presbyopia. The third defect we have is presbyopia. Now, what is presbyopia? Presbyopia is actually a old age hypermetropia. It is actually a old age hypermetropia. So we can say that presbyopia is old age hypermetropia. Now, what is old age hypermetropia? So when a person reaches a certain age, then the near point will recede and the far point will be more distant to him. So you can see that in the hypermetropia, it is known as the long-sightedness. Long-sightedness means a person is not able to see the near objects, but he is able to see the far objects. So in the people at the old age, like your grandfather and your grandmother, you have seen that they are able to see the distant objects very clearly, but the nearby objects are difficult for them. They are not able to read the newspapers without spectacles. So this is the common case we have seen. So this presbyopia is the old age hypermetropia. So if it is old age hypermetropia, it can be corrected by using the similar convex lens. But what is the different thing here? If it is hypermetropia, then why we are defining it in the different category? We are defining it in the different category because the reason for hypermetropia is that the eyeball become small. But in this case, you can see that there is no small size of the eyeball. Instead, the ciliary muscles of that person's become weakened. This is happening in the old age. When you become old, similar things will happen with you, that you are able to see the distant object very clearly, but you cannot able to see the nearby objects, and this condition is known as the presbyopia. Now, in some cases you have learned that and you have studied that the presbyopia is a combination of myopia and hypermetropia. It is not so. Why it is not so? Because the same thing cannot occur in the single eye. If I am saying that in a single eye I have a myopia and I have a hypermetropia, this thing will not be possible, because how will be the eyeball small and big simultaneously for single eye? It is happening, or it can happen, that one eye will have a myopia and other will have a hypermetropia. This thing can happen, but both the things cannot be happen in the one eye. So presbyopia is actually a old age hypermetropia. So don't get confused between them, that it is a combination of both. So this old age hypermetropia, the main reason for this presbyopia is that in old age, the ciliary muscles get weakened. The ciliary muscles of a person get weakened, and this is why this condition is occurring, and this is the condition that is hypermetropia. It means the person is able to see far objects clearly. The person is able to see far objects clearly, but he will not be able to see the nearby objects clearly. At least he wants a distance of 25 centimeter. Now, this method is corrected by using a suitable convex lens, because hypermetropia is actually corrected by using a convex lens. So what is the correction measure you can use here? This defect is corrected by using convex lens. Okay. So the old age hypermetropia can be corrected by using the convex lens. Now consider one more case, that a eye is myopic or hypermetropic both. So if in eye myopia and hypermetropia, if this thing is occurring in a single eye, it won't be possible in a practical life, because both the things cannot be happen in a single eye. If you have myopia and hypermetropia, then this defect you can correct by using a bifocal lens. Bifocal lens means this defect is corrected by using bifocal lens. This thing is described in your NCERT, but this thing is absolutely wrong here. Why it is wrong? Because you cannot get both the defect in a single eye. Bifocal lens can be used to correct the hypermetropia and myopia. And what will be this lens? The upper part can be made up of the concave lens and the lower part can be made up of the concave lens. So this defect can be corrected by concave plus convex lens. So we are saying that this will be our bifocal lens. So presbyopia is corrected by using the bifocal lens. This statement is not true, because you are not getting both the defects in a single eye. It is actually the old age hypermetropia, which is usually corrected by using a convex lens we have. So these are the three categories you have seen that we have discussed in our today's lecture. So the defects are myopia, hypermetropia and presbyopia. Now you have one more defect here that is not counted in these categories, but it is a defect too, that is about the astigmatism. Now let's see what actually the astigmatism is. So our next defect is astigmatism. Now what is this astigmatism? Astigmatism is a new term. You would not have any thing heard about it previously. So what actually the astigmatism is? Astigmatism is sometimes in old age our eye is not able to identify the horizontal and vertical manner. It means you cannot see the horizontal objects and you cannot see the vertical objects. So the horizontal and vertical curvature of the lens will become disturbed, and this condition is known as astigmatism. It means you won't be able to see horizontally as well as vertically. So this condition is astigmatism. And how this can be corrected? This can be corrected by using a cylindrical lenses. So cylindrical lenses are those lenses which people used to wear in the earlier times, having a very broad glasses. So these are your cylindrical lenses. So what is astigmatism? Astigmatism is a condition when a person is not able to identify the objects vertically and horizontally. And how can you correct them? These can be corrected by using cylindrical lenses. We will use cylindrical lens for its correction. When you are not able to visualize the things horizontally and vertically, it is known as astigmatism, and this defect is usually corrected by using the cylindrical lenses. So these are the 4 defects we have discussed in detail in this lecture. So this lecture is over here, and the good news is that we have completed the half part of the chapter, that is about the structure of human eye and the defects of vision. Now we are left with the colorful world. The colorful world we are going to start in our next session. So thank you so much and have a nice day.